My name is Erik Kole. I'm an assistant professor in the Econometric Institute, which means that I do research in financial econometrics. I'm also part of education management, so I'm responsible for the econometrics program in the bachelor. That keeps me occupied for, quite some time at university. But besides that, I like to do sports. I swim quite a bit. I like skiing, being out in the mountains. So that's what I do in my spare time. Well, I studied econometrics as well. I was an eager student, ambitious. I also liked the student life, so it was not just studying, but also enjoying, living on your own, going out with friends. But I also, liked the university life, the ability to explore the things that you find interesting in your studies, but also after that. I always had a knack for teaching. One of the things that you realize is that when, you're learning yourself, when you really understand something, you know that when you can teach it to somebody else. And I like learning, and that also meant that also at young age I liked teaching, and I always had somewhere in my mind to become a teacher, not directly at university, because when you're young, a university is very abstract and vague, so that's not something that concretely comes to mind. I studied in Maastricht, in the deep south, also econometrics and operations research there. After that, I did an internship in Amsterdam with an investment bank, doing, some fancy econometrics and also some not so fancy econometric stuff. And at some point I realized, okay, if I start working here, it will be mostly this not so fancy econometric stuff. So let's see if I can dive in a bit more just after my studies. And then I looked for a PhD position that became at Rotterdam School of Management. And after that, I liked it quite a bit here at the campus. And I opted for Erasmus School of Economics. That's why I chose it and where I stayed since then. What I like most about working here is the combination that it brings. I spend time on teaching, I spend time on research, I also spend time on, more the administrative side. So how do the programs work? What do we offer where? What kind of didactical techniques, didactical innovations do we do? And it's really this combination. So when I do research, I think about, okay, how can I integrate that in my teaching? If I discuss things with students, that's inspirational for my research. But I also think, okay, how can I improve my teaching? Sometimes also, how can I improve my research in terms of presentation or how you bring things across? And it's this combination that you're doing all these different things. And that, what I do on the administrative side is also something that I can do directly in my teaching. But what I want other people to do as an administrator is also related to what I have to do myself in teaching and in research. And this combination is kind of unique for an academic position, and that's what it really makes interesting. Well, finding new research ideas is on the one hand pretty difficult, and on the other hand also something that's sometimes very spontaneous. You have to be open to, what's happening in the world, what's happening in economics. That means talking with students, colleagues, going to conferences, but also sometimes explaining things to more laymen in your family or friend circle. So kind of keeping an open mind and staying on top of new developments. So I'm working at different things at the moment. I have one paper that's I sent to a journal I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, where we look at behavioral aspects in consumer confidence indicators. So to create such an indicator, there are big surveys that ask people how they judge the economic situation, how things have evolved compared to a year ago, what they expect for the future. And what we do in that particular paper is see if we can find some behavioral aspects so that people respond in a particular way that gives more weights to extremes that they have observed than to the average change. One of the things, one of the nicest spots on campus is the pavilion. It's nice to have a coffee there, really feel the vibe of having students around, in particular in summer when people are outside, also sitting around the pond. So that's very, inspirational. You really feel that you're in the center of an academic community. That's a very nice place to be. I'm teaching the asset pricing course, which is part of the master. That's a classical course. So I do lectures. I have, detailed interactions with students if they have questions. But most of the students simply sit in the lecture hall, and sometimes I know their names, sometimes I do not. It's nice to structure such a course and to think, okay, how do I bring this across for a large group of students? You get some feedback, but it's also a bit limited, because from 80% of the students, they sit in the lecture hall, they grade the exams, and that's it. I also do smaller scale courses where, I supervise groups of students that do research, I supervise theses of students, and there the feedback is much more direct, because you see directly that students learn something from you. So that's kind of, inspirational. You think, how do I bring this particular topic across? My advice would be to, try different things, make the most of your student life. And I know that, from a lot of stakeholders, there is pressure on students to perform well, to perform fast, not to procrastinate. But that may all be true. You're also young. And that means that you should also explore life, and that also means that you should, use the opportunities that a university or other parts of life offer to do exactly that. Being a student gives you a lot of freedom, and that's something that you should really enjoy and make the most of it.